Hey everybody, and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about perks to disabilities, the benefits that can come from it. Whether you have a disability that is newly acquired or you were born with it. Today we're going to talk about the positives that can come out of it. When we talk about disability, we're usually talking about the negatives. So I thought, why don't we talk about some of the positives today? I do think that this is a conversation worth having. Not all disabilities are the same. So if you have the same disability than somebody else, that doesn't mean that what comes with your disability will be coming with theirs. They may have different struggles than you. With all that out the way, let's hop into it. So let's start off with one of the obvious ones, and that would be the parking situation. When you have low mobility or are assisting someone who does have low mobility, a parking space fit for, say, a wheelchair is actually a great thing. I will actually say that there have been times when someone that doesn't have a disability has parked in those spots, and you can tell because there's no sticker. And this affects things greatly. For instance, I went out on Monday with my mum to an appointment, and we had such trouble finding a spot that was suitable to get the wheelchair in and out because all the disabled spots were taken. We had to find a parking space further down from the entrance, and that was actually a real hassle. So I'm just going to put this out as a PSA. If you do not have any kind of disability, do not park in those spots. They're there for a reason. I think the next one is actually one of my favorites because I love going to concerts and I love going to different shows and that. And one of the things that I find great is a separate line for those with disabilities. Especially, like I said, this is mostly from a wheelchair user's perspective, but the separate line for those with disabilities is awesome. That is another perk, and like I said, that is one of my favorites. I'm actually looking to do a sub-series in the future regarding concert venues, how to book tickets if you've got a disability and need a companion, and all that somewhere down the line. And like I said, I love concerts, I love musicals, and I think this is a great perk. Number 3 is something that is pretty crucial when you're out in the community, and that's a bathroom. Now, due to people misusing disabled bathrooms, some of them within shopping centres and parks and train stations and that are now locked. It's been like this for a while, but it's becoming more and more prevalent as we go along. Now, in the example up above, where I talked about going out with my mum during the week, I had to use the bathroom. So we went in there. I didn't notice it on the sink before I was washing my hands. Mum looked over and was like, "Be careful, someone left a needle on the sink." This is part of the reason why bathrooms are getting locked. Whether you need the toilet when you're out in the community, it's a hassle to actually go and find someone, but you do have one of two options. Find someone that can unlock it for you, like a security guard or cleaner or something else, or you can have something like this. So here in Australia, this is called an MLAT key. Your country may have something similar. It's pretty much a universal key to unlock disabled toilets. And like I said, I don't think it's necessary that we have to have them, as long as people keep misusing disability equipment in public spaces, there is always going to be a need for them. So anyway, getting back onto the actual bathroom talk, disabled bathrooms are great for when you have a disability. They're just, one, they're bigger. Two, they've got railings. Three, there's enough room for a wheelchair. If you need a carer or a support worker with you, whatever they're called in your country, then there's room in there for them as well. If you need a couple of them, there's enough room. If you've got a guide dog and you need the bathroom ASAP, there's plenty of room for you and your dog. Or your guide, depending on how you want to phrase it. It's also great for elderly people as well, especially those with walking frames. Having more space to maneuver around is a good thing. I do not know if this would classify as a perk or a benefit, but having to think outside the box would be another, I guess it would say, benefit to disability. If you have a newly acquired disability, for example, you're not able to do what you used to be able to do. So having to think outside the box and having to think outside the metaphorical box, especially when you do have, like I said, a physical disability, you need to find a way to do things that you wouldn't be able to do necessarily. So yes, thinking outside the box is a benefit. And it's always good to, show people up who think you can't do anything anymore. Okay, this one may seem a little out there. Well, maybe not. The next one we're going to talk about is cheaper travel fare. I travel by public transport a lot. Buses and trains in particular. And the regular rate, especially if you're someone with a disability, it can be extremely expensive. Whether that be taxis with taxi vouchers, Apple cards. These can be like a game changer, especially if you don't have a lot of money, like this, especially if you don't have a disposable income, like coming in regularly. For instance, $20 on my Opal card can at least get me 2 weeks. $20 on a regular adult Opal card probably wouldn't even last me a week. And it definitely, even with taxi vouchers, wouldn't be enough to cover like half of it. You know what I mean? Hey everyone, just an editing clip here to do with public transport fees and taxis. What I actually meant to say is you wouldn't be able to get far on an adult Opal card if you have a disability that's got $20 on it. That will probably only last you probably a day or two. While on a pensioner card, depending on how many trips you do, it's actually a very cheaper rate. And as for the taxis part I was talking about, a taxi voucher will only give you like half the fare, which is good on some degrees depending on where you're going. But it still can be pretty expensive it can still be pretty expensive if you're using it regularly. That is what I meant to say. Wasn't exactly good at explaining that part to begin with. Anyway, back to the rest of the video. Everything is just so expensive these days, it's not even funny. And there you have it. Those are some perks and benefits to disability. This is just a short list. There are so many more things out there, but those are just the few that I came up with. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I shall see you in my next one. Bye everyone.